Okay, today we're going to do part 1 of 11.5, which you have the notes to. The back side of those notes is part 2, which we'll do on Thursday when you come to class. So today we're just going to be introducing how you're going to solve radical equations. So there's some steps that you need to pay attention to. First, you need to get the radical by itself on one side of the equation. So get it by itself, and then to get rid of the radical, you're going to square both sides, which, remember, squaring means taking it to the second power. And just as a quick recall, your radical can't be negative, so your expression under your radical cannot be a negative number. Okay, so let's look at the first example. So we're going to solve each equation. So here's the idea. You're trying to get this radical by itself. It's kind of like when we did absolute value. You're trying to get the JL by itself. Same idea. So we're going to add 3 to both sides. Still bring your rad down because we haven't gotten rid of it. So rad x equals 7. Now, to get rid of the radical, you're going to square both sides and put it in parentheses. So when you square a radical, it just makes it go away. So this becomes x, and then equals 7 squared is 49. And you only have one answer because we're not doing x squared anymore. This is the rad of x. So here's how you would check your answer. So to check, I'm going to plug in 49 for x. So rad 49 minus 3 equals 4. Well, what is the square root of 49? 7. And that works because 7 minus 3 is 4. So our answer works. There's A. Let's move to B. Okay, on B, it's kind of like absolute value. Let me get rid of this. Okay. Notice that there is nothing outside of the rad. There's nothing outside of that rad. Even though there's a minus 3 inside, since this radical is already by itself, then what you have to do is get rid of the radical. So you cannot add 3 because it's underneath the rad. That cannot happen. So since the radical is alone, we're going to square both sides. So when you square a radical, all that happens is it cancels out the rad. So you're left with what's inside. So I bring down x minus 3. And that's equal to 4 squared is 16. Now, x is not alone yet, so I need to solve it. So I need to add 3 to both sides. So x equals 19. Then to check your answer, I'm plugging in 19 for x. So I have radical, instead of x, I plug in 19. And then minus 3, and that is supposed to be equal to 4. Well, 19 minus 3 is 16. And what is the square root of 16? 4. Not rad 4, just 4. And it checks. Let's move to example C. Okay, trying to get the rad alone. Right now there's a plus 7 over there, so I need to move it. I do that by subtracting 7 on both sides. So then I bring down rad x equals 12 minus 7 is 5. The rad's alone. To get rid of that rad, I square both sides. When you square a rad, it just makes it go away. You bring down what's inside, which is your x. 5 squared is 25. So to check your answer, I'm plugging in 25 for x. So I have rad, instead of x, I plug in 25 plus 7 equals 12. Square root of 25 is 5. 5 plus 7 is 12. So it checks. So you should be able to know if you're getting every single answer correctly by checking. Okay, example D. This time we're trying to get the rad alone. There is a 2 squeezed to that rad. So remember that squeezed means multiplication. So to cancel multiplication, we're going to divide by 2 on both sides. So then I have rad x, that rad is still there, equals 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now, since the rad's alone, it's time to get rid of it. So I square both sides, When you square a rad, it goes away, so you bring down what's inside, which is an x. 4 to the second power is 16, and there's your answer. So to check, I have 2, and then rad instead of x, I'm plugging in 16 equals 8. What is the square root of 16? 4. The 2 and 4 are squeezed, so you're going to multiply, and it works. 8 equals 8. Last example. Okay, on this one, on E, can I go ahead and add my 5 to both sides? The answer is no, because that is underneath the radical. So since there is nothing outside the rad, you need to get rid of it. So you're going to square both sides. Don't forget to do this on both sides. So you square the rad, it goes away, you just bring down what's inside, which is x minus 5, equals 4 squared is 16. I still need to get x alone, so this time I have to add 5 to both sides. So x equals 21. And then we're going to check our answer. So to check, I have the square root of, instead of x, I plug in 21 minus 5 equals 4. 21 minus 5 is 16. And the square root of 16 is 4. So it checks. So again, to solve all of these problems, you want to get the radical by itself. Nothing can be outside the rad. Once you get it by itself, square both sides. Don't forget to square both sides. And then you bring down what's inside that rad and solve. Now you can work on your worksheet. Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.